So we can start with a first question about ecosystem modeling. I think it was more for Natalie. The question is, could the ecosystem modeling approach assess or identify an ecological trap effect potentially induced by an offshore wind farm? Your fellow researchers on ecosystem modeling can also assist in answering that. Do you have any ideas?
Well, I don't think so. But I think that some of the models we used to add climate change effect on the distribution of species may be of interest. So there are the niche models, or what we call SDM models. Then I think the question of the ecological traps may be seen through these models, which are statistical models concentrated on the species one by one. But then after those kind of study, we could imagine to look at the consequences at the ecosystem level with the models we talked about today. So yeah, I think it would mean coming back to the species level on the individual level to look at the processes first.
Okay, so it would need quite a bit of work before being able to do that kind of work. Raphael, I see your screen's on. You wanted to?
Yeah, just to complement, I fully agree with what Natalie just said, and through the development also of geochemical model and coupling those fully with ecosystem model, you could also explore trapping effect of primary production, for example, if there is, through those. Basically, change in hydrodynamics accounted for, and all of those kind of thing, and test if there is or not an effect. That could be also another way.
Thank you. I think we can move on to the next question.
Laetitia, yes. Just to complement also, it depends on the way we model the individual, because we can force an attraction to offshore wind farm or let the model free and see if individuals or populations are attracted by offshore wind farm. But if we attract them by forcing them to like the area because we saw observation of it, we can imagine that the population would be attracted, but less have worse conditions. So we could have a population trap. So not individual, but we might see such effects on models like Osmos, where we do not model populations, but almost individuals, super individuals. And just to complement, it's a field of research that we're trying to work on is to model ecosystems and also individuals, and couple the two approaches to see if the quality of food that fish can access into the offshore wind farms, and also the kind of movements that they do, if they refuge or not, can have an impact at this population scale. So we'll have maybe more clues in the coming years and new projects.
Thank you, Pierre. Can I move to the next question? Yeah. I think, Natalie, you also talked about isotopic data in your presentation, and someone asked what kind of isotopic data is needed for the model.
what is important for us is to define the diet composition of the compartments in the model. So compartments are gathering several species together, which are similar by their metabolic properties and also by their diet. And what we have done here was to base, well, there are very good isotopic specialists in Gand University and so University of Ghent and the Museum of Brussels, of natural science. So what they do is that they use carbon and nitrogen isotopes, so carbon 13, nitrogen 15 to 16. And also what is important in that case is that it's important to also know the fluctuation, the basic fluctuation in the ecosystem of those ratios, so for carbon and nitrogen isotopes. And then when you have this, you can estimate the percentage of praise in the diet of the different compartments studied.
Thank you. I think we have a quick question for Johan and Raphael, but I think it's also for Pierre because it's about the fishery models. Can you tell us a little bit more about the spatial resolution of the fishery models that you've used in both of your studies? So probably maybe the grid or...
Yeah, for us, for the extended Bay of Seine, we used a model developed by Hassan Alwani. The spatial resolution is 500 meters each cell. Yeah.
So for us, it was exactly the same cell size as for the model, so around 2 kilometers, if I remember well, basically. And the fisheries distribution was governed by maps that change based on if you have offshore wind farm or not. It was not fully dynamic at the moment.
Okay. Thank you. Maybe you can stay with us, Raphael, Pierre, and maybe Nathalie, you can come back. There's a question about the approach. So the ecosystemic approach that has been adopted for the environmental impact assessment of offshore wind farm. Can it be, so the question is, can the methodology be replicated for the environmental impact assessment of a specific offshore wind farm? Is there any constraint regarding the model, data access, duration? So I know the answers, but if you could.
I would say the main constraint is the development of the model. It takes really a lot of time. Yeah. So if the model is already, in terms of osmosis or maybe ecospace, if he is already in place, you could use it if the scale is good enough for your question, I would say. So I will leave the floor to Nathalie and others to complement.
So if you have a model that's existing, basically it's whether it's well adapted, well suited for the stakes you're trying to study.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe to enlarge the picture, I think it's important to have local data enlarged in those assessments, and it is necessary to go into those ecosystem models. And yes, for the moment they take time, but we have projects. Maybe Pierre can tell more about that, to try to reduce this time of development in the future.
Yeah, so the models need to be ecological specific in order to assess a specific offshore wind farm.
Yeah, sure. This is important to add, and also this is what the result I presented show, that according to the different event in the Eastern English Channel, so in a quite reduced area, we had different conclusions in different environments. So it's really sensitive to local data.
Yeah, do you want to add something maybe about the harmonization methodology?
Yes, indeed, we try to reduce the time to develop a model, also to be sure that we have good quality of representations. That's why new methodologies will be built in future projects to be able to every year have an update of our models, and also be able to develop new models, for example, at local scales if needed. And also I wanted to highlight that really this kind of models like LIM, EcoSpace or Osmos are, according to us, the best way to make projections of the future, and so to be able to have all indirect effects of the offshore wind farm development. So go outside of the observations that you can have on the field and be able to see a lot of stuff that could happen, especially if you work on different scenarios. So what could happen if we have this type of future or this kind of future? And so I think we think that ecosystem modeling as something new to add to other techniques that already exist.
Thank you, Pierre. We still have a few minutes. If there's no question in the chat so far, I might have, yes.
No, I just wanted to say, because Raphael talked about fisheries in Osmos, and I wanted to say for concerning fisheries in EcoSpace, for the moment we have fleet dynamics that are driven by a gravity model. So a simple model that says that fishers are attracted by areas where there are a lot of fish that have a good prices. And for now we are trying also to make more realistic fleet dynamics into ecosystem models. For example, in one project called Fisherman that some of you might know. So we try to have socio-cultural economics drivers into this fisheries representation. Thank you.
Thank you, Pierre. So yes, as I was saying, so we have a few minutes left. I was thinking maybe a quick question on the regulatory side for Roda and Sibyl, if you don't mind. I was thinking, could you give us another example of, for example, the bow tie approach that could be applied to? So it's not a trick question, it's a quick question, but maybe you could. Yeah.
Yeah, the bow tie. This one is for Sibyl. Develop precisely the bow tie approach.
Yeah, for the next we have to objective to understand and establish the link between the regulatory requirement and modeling tools. So maybe we can test this bow tie approach with another regulatory requirement, and maybe we want to test the impact of the environmental impact assessment, and go further the discussion and try to develop other scenario, and with a specific governance tools. I hope I answered to your question. I'm not sure.
No, indeed. So we can use this bow tie approach for other regulatory requirements to see how ecosystem modeling can assist. So I think there's one last question from Diego, but I cannot see it. Maybe it's in the chat. Just
in the chat.
Yes. Yes. So it was a question for Raphael. If you could clarify whether fishing closures within offshore wind farms during the operational phase may partly compensate for biomass loss, but at the same time create a larger loss in landed tonnage for the fishing sector.
So basically what we ended up with osmose is when you are closing only the offshore wind farm area to fishery, the reduction in biomass you will observe in other scenarios was way less than in these scenarios. But in the same time, you have to reduce way more of the yield of your fishery, and you can and the fishery doesn't compensate that loss within the offshore area with what they will catch outside of it, basically. So the catch loss, I would say, within the offshore wind farm is way bigger than what they gain outside, basically. I don't know if I fully answer the question.
Yes, you did. So thank you. So I think we're all good. I do not see any more questions. So if it's okay for everyone, we can close this webinar on the overview of the results of the NESTORE project. Thank you to all the experts that shared their results, their presentation with us, and thank you all for attending and the question you provided us with. Thank you all. Bye-bye. Have a nice day.